Make some noise with your hands and faces! Oh! Oh, it is so good to see all of you here at Wonderville on a Thursday night. Oh man, we got some loud arcade games in the house tonight and some great, wonderful faces. Oh yeah, Mark is back from Japan, everybody. Welcome Mark back to attend Mark, and Stephanie, owners of Wonderville. Very grateful to be here. What's up? I'm Todd Anderson. I'm your host this evening, and most evenings that are called WordHack. I am the host. There was one time where I wasn't, and Jamie did a great job, but most of the time it's me. Welcome to WordHack. What is a WordHack? It's a question we always ask. I don't, but you might. WordHack is a show we do here monthly at Wonderville every third Thursday. It's an evening where we do talks and performances and share some work, do weird things, all hanging out around ye old intersection of technology and language. Yeah, no, not art and technology. Technology and language. We've got a word focus here, although the art folks are welcome here also. Big tent philosophy sometimes, but they shouldn't feel too welcome. Thank you, Flourish. No, this is a space where my premise in starting the show, my background's in poetry, and then I eventually started writing poems that showed up on websites and on computers and projectors and that kind of stuff. And I wanted a place I could share my work where that felt normal and not like someone was really angry at me for running an extension cord across their open mic. And mostly, through that, I discovered that a lot of people are thinking about using words with technology in a bunch of different ways, and that we have a lot to say to each other and learn from each other. So I met other poets who are working with technology in different ways, whether it be new ways of showing and having their poem be visualized on a website or in a game or in a piece of software, or ways of using computers to generate text and explore new poetic combinations that way, or people that are writing whole generative novels and using it as part of their whole writing process. Or on the other hand, people who come from a game design background and are using technology to create storytelling systems and narrative design dialogue systems. We have academics here who study language in a variety of ways, computational studies of linguistics, and we have people who are making software that works with language in different ways and changes ways we communicate online or with each other. And there's academics who are studying the ways language evolves. And basically, I wanted to create a space where all of those different people who all might have their own incredibly niche conference or gathering that they go to, where instead we can have one place at a bar where we hang out and kind of share some stuff and talk to each other and meet each other and be inspired by each other, rather than all being in our own little silos. So that's the idea of WordHack, and I hope that's why you're here, trying to just create a fun, friendly, intellectual space where we can learn a little bit and make some friends. That's the plan, at least. We've got a great lineup of presenters this evening. We're going to be hearing from, we're going to be seeing the premiere of Start Me Up, a new film by Nick Montfort and Albert Figurt. We have a presentation from Helen Shewolfe Tseng and from Olivia McKayla Ross. Give it up for your featured presenters. And at the top of every WordHack, we have a very special part of the show, the open projector. I mentioned my background is in poetry, which it means I've definitely been to my share of open mics, and that was a really important thing for me when I first moved to New York, now 15 years ago, and didn't know anyone and just had a poem in my pocket and could show up at an event that said poetry happening here and go up and put my name on a sheet of paper and read the poem in my pocket and look at the blank faces of the audience and then go sit down and then do it again the next week. And then eventually you do that enough times and suddenly you have friends and a career. It doesn't always pan out that way, but it is some way to get started, kind of. And everyone needs a place to get started, kind of, or to keep going, kind of. And I find it's often, a lot of places don't want you to come plug in your computer to their projector, or don't want you to do some stuff with cables. They want you to they want to know you before they kind of commit to hardware, and that's not how we feel here. The Open Projector, we invite you to come up to the stage, share a project, ideally around the theme of language and technology, for 5 minutes. I'm timing 5 minutes. Share something to the audience. It can be a project you just finished and you want to take a victory lap in front of this crowd. It can also be a project you just started and you're like, I think this is cool, but I don't know what I should do next. It could be an idea you're having, a place you're stuck. It could be a little talk about something that is not your own work, but it's a thing you care about. I love it when people do a little talk about just something that's like, did you know about this? And we've got all kinds of those things. And we've got 5 people on our Open Projector here tonight. So let's, without further ado, get it started with our first Open Projector presenter, who is Omar. Give it up for Omar.
All right, let me connect.
Yeah, do you have sound?
No. And this one. Is interactive. Hello, I'm Omar. I'd like people to take out their phones. So it can be a QR code here. And scan one of these. Let's see, can we get one of them on? Yeah. She might be a little better. And let me move this over here. I'll keep this up. And I made this app a few hours ago. And all right, so this should be a thing where you move your finger across the screen to vote, and it should be updating in real time unless the internet is bad or my app is crashing. So let's try this. Can we try move to the right? Can everyone move to the right? Let's see if it's working.
It was working a second ago.
Yeah. I can't tell if it's the internet or the app. Well, the whole thing is it being real time. So if it's not if it's not updating in real time, what about everyone? Let's debug again. Go to the left. Or also maybe everyone just refresh. Let's just see what happens. Let's just refresh.
My refresh is not going.
Oh.
It was working great for
Yeah. Well, we'll try again, and because also otherwise we might do maybe the left half of the room. I think at least the version is gonna, because now there's no data. All right, I'll give it. Oh, can we try this? Can we try? Because there's one. Okay, everybody, close the app, and then can we try the first 2 rows maybe? We'll try that. If that doesn't work, I'll go back and next time debugging.
502, by the way. Yeah, there it is.
Okay, well, let's check the logs. I think it's just too many. All right, let's try here. Refresh. Let me restart the server. And then it takes a second. See the log. Okay, it says people are joining. Okay. Yeah. Okay, and this is only the first 2 rows, right? Okay. So can we all move to the left? Okay, everyone move to the left. Okay, and then everyone move to the right. Okay, there we go. Okay, thank you. And then I think I was going to ask you questions, such as, although it's not clear which way is yes. Oh, wait, hold on. Which way is yes? Because I think it's obvious. Yes, see, everyone knows. Right, yes is right. Yeah, there you go. Okay, great. This works. How about this? Do you live in NYC? Or are you from out of town? Okay, just a few people are in the middle. That's great. I don't know what that means. Have you gotten enough sleep last night? Okay, there's a bit of a spread. I'm jealous of the 4 people on the right. Okay, the language part was going to be, I wanted to start asking people a few questions about are you aware of certain words? Do you know the word, do you know the word shibboleth? I don't know, I've never actually said it out loud. How do you pronounce this word? Wait, is this a joke? I don't know, I can't tell. Okay, most people in the survey, no. What other weird words? What about this word? Which I pronounce egregore. I don't know if that's how people pronounce it. I like the middle, yeah, okay. What about, is this all right. Well, thank you, everyone. This is a good debugging session.
Thank you, Omar. Alrighty, thank you, Omar. Love to see some live polling at work. Coming up next, returning to the open projector, love to see someone back who was at the very first WordHack 11 years ago. Who had moved away but is heroically returning back to be on the open projector. Give it up for Artemio.
All right. Hi, everyone. So I'd like to present on this idea of scrollimation, that is, scrolling animations, or scrolling movies, if you will, which I like to call scrollies, as well as the tool I'm programming or creating in order to allow for the creation of scrollimation. Just to give you an example of what this is all about, here I will show an example. Hopefully the sound works. Oh no, for sound we should do... Yeah, I have it. Okay, great. So this is a webcomic I'm translating into a scrolly by Daniel Sheldon, who's an artist from South Africa. This is his artwork and his text. So, in a dystopian future where everything is run mostly by AI, life is simple, regimented, and safe, but the lack of survival instincts and creativity has disrupted a delicate universal balance. The shunt force, sustained by creative energy from the ether, has weakened, allowing the dominant key force to empower the malevolent Aku. His aim to destroy Earth, a vital hub of life and creativity, and become the supreme ruler of everything. In response, 7 Earth individuals were chosen for their strength of character and integrity. And merged with 7 magical mecha fighterbots, each forged from a spectrum of ethereal light. Yeah, so I'm just gonna scroll quickly through the rest of it just to give you an idea of what scrollimation is all about. So you see, we have like this text, we have these parallaxing, we have these cool animations, right? And so that is just an example of what you can do with Scroll Cinema. I will show another quick example. This is an original piece I'm doing called When I Fall Asleep. Very much still in progress, but here's just to show an example of a frame-by-frame hand-drawn animation that you can also do. So the point is that there's a lot that you can explore and do with this idea of scrollimation. So that's a little bit of When I Fall Asleep. Yeah, I'll show the interface in just a moment so you can get an idea of what that's all about. But yeah, so here's the landing page for Scroll Cinema. If you go to scrollcinema.com, it'll redirect you to our landing page on Alt-Salt, which I'll explain what that is in a moment. And here are a few more examples of things, like we have animated poetry. A Modern Ghost, which I presented a long time ago, this is actually the same system I used to build a Modern Ghost and Riveted in the Word, which after many years I'm finally able to make a public version of. So that's the landing page, and here's the interface. So here's the piece that you just saw earlier. It's like a cross between Unity and After Effects. So we have a hierarchy over here. You can manipulate all the properties over here, and then we have a timeline right here, and all your keyframes and whatnot, and different ways of manipulating the timeline via scroll and via auto-playing sequences that operate independently of the scroll. And all this lives Scroll Cinema lives on altsalt.com. Altsalt, for those who don't know, I presented on this a while ago as well, is a community website for high fidelity and innovative publishing formats. So think zines, electronic literature, story-driven games, and now scrollimation. Altsalt and Scroll Cinema are both in beta. So that being said, I'm looking to, find folks who are interested in exploring this nascent space of scrollimation, creating some pieces, maybe create a collection of scrollies. And with that being said, let's absolutely connect if you're interested in collaborating, learning more, talking about these things. All things scrolly related. Thank you. Oh yeah, if you go to altsalt.com, there's a register button. You can just register for a beta account there, or you can just talk to me, and I can get you on there. Thanks.
Clean 5 from an OG WordHack presenter. Up next, welcome back to the Open Projector. It's Maury.
If anybody wants a chair that is definitely going to break, I highly recommend the one I was sitting in. Hello. First of all, I love whenever I come to WordHack with something that's actually about words. This time I have something that's about things that make up words, which are letters. And by that, I mean envelopes. If you could pass these down. There's 40 of them. If you don't get one, I have the materials for them in my bag. Start me. It does not matter if you open the letters or not. You will just don't seal them because you're going to need to mail them. And I'll explain why in a second. All right. Cool. So, hello. I'm Maury. I don't need you to see that yet. If you know me, and you can see this, which you still can't because it needs to be over this way, I love it when large institutions take millions and millions of photos. This is, a telescope taking a bunch of photos. This is a different project of mine called Traffic Cam Photo Booth, where the New York City Department of Transportation took tons of photos, and I let people take selfies with them. I think that, just that mass of photos, especially when you can affect them, is really interesting. And they also make for great internet projects because people love doing something in one place and having it show up on the internet somewhere else. And if you have somebody doing that transmutation from real life into the internet for you, life becomes very easy for making something that goes viral. So today I want to talk to you about the newest kind of, again, alchemical point between real life and pictures on the internet that I've found, which is the United States Postal Service Informed Delivery Service. So Informed Delivery is a free service provided by the USPS where you sign up for it. You do two-factor authentication through your mailbox, which is very funny, by getting a letter that says, hey, I own this mailbox. And then they will start sending you emails saying, hey, today you're getting this letter or this letter. And they'll scan the outside of the letter that you're going to get and just send it to you in an email. And that's crazy because that means that somebody can send something to a mailbox to me, and then I get an email with a picture that I can download of what they sent me. So what can I do with that? And I was thinking about all right, let me figure this out, right? What games historically have used, the Postal Service? What other things can we do with that? And I came up with this idea called USP Chess. So USP Chess, and let me start this server while we're reading the background. USP Chess is exactly what it sounds like. It is a game of Twitch plays Pokemon, but instead of Pokemon, it's chess. Instead of Twitch chat, it's a P.O. box. So it takes a lot longer, and it's slightly asynchronous, but it works kind of cool, right? So basically what you do is you start with this, and you get a bunch of moves in. Say you take one move, say this one has D5, and then you process that move, and then boom, this is just the image processing. This thing will pop up twice. And then D5 is moved, and then the next day you get another 10 moves, and you choose one, and you upload it, and this all happens. This is right now is manual; it's just a demo, but this will eventually be automatic. The thing I want to talk to you guys about, and the thing that you're going to play in this entire process, is I need some people to help me figure out how to do this data processing, right? Because if there's anything I love more than people taking pictures on the internet, it's a really fucked up data pipeline. So the question that I have is how do we take envelopes that people send into us and put them online and use them to create a chess game, given that A, anyone can send one of these envelopes in, B, I do want to put the images of the envelopes online, C, I don't want to expose end user data, and D, all this information is going to be handwritten. And so this is, first of all, that's what this function does. It detects all the text on the envelope. It figures out where the chess move is. It redacts all the text. So if you saw the blocks on top of the text, that's what that is. It figures out what the actual move is, and then it returns that. And I know what you're thinking. This says OAI right here. Do you just throw it at OpenAI? No. Why? Because taking this original text, original envelope, and we have NXE5. This is where, if you ask OpenAI, give me the bounding box of the chess move, this is where it thinks the chess move is. And that's the reason that is because text models aren't very good at actually doing spatial reasoning. There are models that are good at doing spatial reasoning, like OCR models. This is one from... Cool. What? All right. So please, there are instructions in there. Please send me a letter. Thank you very much. No, you're good.
Yeah, Open Projector has been filling up the past couple of shows, so I'm trying to be more vigilant about time, but I don't know, don't be mad at me. Coming up next to the Open Projector, I am not sure if I'm reading this name correctly, but I think it's maybe Serene. Yeah, give it up for Serene.
Hello. It is Serene or Cyrene or whatever. I don't care. This is my first one, yeah. So if it goes poorly, my bad. I don't know how to connect this. Is this connecting?
It looks connected to me.
I can't tell if it's not seeming to know.
It takes It's a sleepy projector. It
Oh, I
takes
see.
like 30 to 45 seconds.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, great.
But if it doesn't, I've noticed that sometimes there's a different dongle that PCs like that.
Oh, really? Oh, interesting. I think this might be one of those cases.
Yeah, try this one.
Okay, cool. Do I remove this? Okay. Okay. Oh, I heard a noise. That sounds. Yeah, I don't think it's coming up. If I borrow someone else's computer. Oh, sick. Okay, cool. Cool. I'm going to do a little live demo, which requires an internet connection, which has never gone wrong before. Yeah, have you heard of Wordle? Yeah, we're going to play a version of Wordle. Oh, no, please connect. I'm going to, please. If this doesn't work, I do have a backup. But I would really fun if this would work. Yes, I am. Or actually, I'm not on the 5G one, but.
Don't connect it.
Oh, okay, great. I'm not on the 5G one, so this is great. If this doesn't connect, then okay, I'll just open it locally, but we can still do it. Okay, so this is localhost. This is a game that is running in my terminal. That's fun. I like that. But here we go. Okay, so guess this color. Please say words. 9980F is what I heard. Okay. You got a 9 correct? You got an F correct. Yeah. Someone, please, I can only hear one character at a time. 9356F2. F2, okay. We got the 9 right, we got the F, 5 of the F. Someone else? That's a designer right there. You know how hex codes work. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna type some random characters in case we don't have time. Okay, there's an F in the second one. 5F, FF. Okay, there's a 5 somewhere. I think you get the point. Whatever, I'll stop now. But you can play this if you want, if you have an internet connection that works. SSH hex.recurse.cloud. I found a tool called Bubble T, which is used for making terminal apps. It's called Bubble T, so I kind of had to use it. It's great. I think terminals are actually kind of underutilized as a platform. I feel like everyone uses browsers for games that you can make on the internet, but it's possible to make a game that runs on the internet that isn't on the web, and I think that's people don't do that enough. That's a live coding program that just runs in your terminal. That's like a synth right there. Someone made Tetris, and there's no cursor support, so if you see at the bottom, you kind of can't. But there's it's press the question mark to go to the help screen, or press Control Q to quit, because you can't just move your mouse to a button. So that's fun. Oh yeah, I tried to put this on does anyone know who Greg.technology is? Okay, so Greg has a server called on hosted Disco, and I wanted to host a game on it because I was too cheap to own a server, but it's running in SSH. The game is running in SSH. So when I put it on, Greg wasn't actually able to SSH into the server for maintenance or admin purposes anymore, because every time they tried to log in, it would just get to my game instead, which I think was an oversight. But I got it working somewhere else. That's an ad. I put it on. This is Recurse. This is a project that I shared on Recurse Center, and a lot of people. It was really fun in the chat, seeing everyone complain about how hard the colors were sometimes. Which I don't know. It was just a lot of fun seeing that. I made a leaderboard because I thought it would be really fun if you could see colors, you could see people's guesses as the color itself. So I made a bunch of leaderboards. This guy made 42 guesses, which was awesome. They actually got it right at the end too. They spent 42 guesses and finished. What an icon! I didn't even do that for this demo. There's more. This one, someone said looked like the dubious food from Breath of the Wild, which you can't really see, but there you go. There's more. This one, someone thought looked like a little critter, which I thought was cute. And then. Thank you. That's all.
Yeah, how do you access the hex.recurse.cloud? And you SSH into that, right? Yeah, not on the browser? Hell yeah. Get those terminals out. Alrighty. Up next on our open projector, give it up for Queenie.
So I'm one of those people who is using the browser, so sorry. Okay. So I'm sure a lot of us here's desktop also looks like this. You have a million tabs open on everything. It's not a new concept, but I typically take like some time out of my week to close some tabs because I'm like, well, this gets really overwhelming. Sometimes I'll just like end up closing the whole thing because I just want to suppress it all. Sometimes some things aren't useful anymore because I've like finished a project, so I'll just like go ahead and close those. But sometimes there's also some pretty
Okay, that's loading. Yeah, sorry if I seem a little distracted. I'm kind of preparing for a pretty important test at the moment, and it's one of these, like, just memorize arbitrary data, and, like, you know, this pairs with that. So I don't like to bring my outside life into WordHack, but given that I'm here, I thought maybe we could make use of the time, and I could put myself in my comfort zone by setting some flashcards to the tune of All the Small Things by Blink-182 and using this to kind of cram for the test. So that's what I'm going to do. Sorry for using your time this way too. Let's refresh this page here. All right, how do we do this? Let's get that there. Okay. Yeah, as usual, I've got to look at the screen to drag this. Here we go. Can everyone see that? Okay, so this is flashcards for the test that I am studying for, to the tune of All the Small Things by Blink-182. Sing along if you know the tune. Oh, that's a different thing. Hold on, let's go back. I need to, again, look at the screen. Boy. Okay, there we go. Let's get the sound up a little. And let's go to flashcard mode here. And apply flashcard mode. Okay, wait. I think we need to, hold on. Yeah, that's just the original song. Sorry about that. Okay, get the, boy. We need to go find our file here. Data, compositions, all the small things. This one, okay. Copy that, and then we go back to our other tab. Yeah, I mean, this is less coding. It's just like the screen doesn't align with my screen, so I've got to look over my shoulder here. Then we add the JSON into that field and load it. Let's go back to vertical so I don't spoil the test for myself. And now load that. Okay, we're good. All right. And starting from the beginning, take it from the top. We're studying for the test. Let's go. Abra, coughing, Mewtwo, Seeking, Ninetales, Onyx, Snorlax, Vulpix, Moltres, Ditto, Dugtrio, Slowpoke, Haunter, Chansey, Starmie, Dratini, Pidgeotto, Nidorino, Vaporeon, Articuno, Electabuzz matchup, Alakazam, Electabuzz matchup, Alakazam, Electabuzz matchup, Alakazam, Electabuzz matchup. Okay. Thank you for helping me through this. Thank you, thank you. Sandslash, Cubone, Utah, Zapdos, Pikachu, Slowbro, Dragonair, Kentucky, Drowsy, Delaware, Colorado, New Mexico, California, Krabby Hypno, Florida, New York, South Carolina, Arkansas, Zubat, North Carolina, Iowa, Texas, South Carolina, Charizard, Utah. Okay, we're learning. And there's a control at the left. It's too small to see, but it's possible to adjust the timing to, you know, like make yourself learn it better and better over time. Here we go. Pidgeotto, Colorado, Oklahoma, Articuno, Minnesota, Aerodactyl, Voltorb, New York, Kakuna Beedrill, Pidgeotto, Colorado, Oklahoma, Articuno, Pennsylvania, Aerodactyl, Electro, New York, Kakuna Beedrill. Thank you very much.
Oh man. The states, they got me. They got me with the states. Let's give it up for everyone on our open projector this evening. And if you saw those presentations up here, you're thinking, maybe I couldn't do exactly that, but I could do my version of that. I could take up space for 5 minutes at a time. You could, and you should. Sign up at a future WordHack. We are now moving into the featured presenter portion of the evening, and we have a special film premiere from longtime WordHack regular Nick Montfort. Nick is an amazing computational poet and educator. Has created a lot of freely available texts and programs that people have used to learn programming and learn the basics of computational poetry. We're also later going to be joined by his collaborator on the film, Albert Figurt, who is an Italian video artist and experimenter in desktop theater. Really excited to be joined by Albert as well. But yeah, without further ado, I'm going to bring down the screen, the special screen for the premiere of Start Me Up. Nick, do you want to say anything?
No, we'll kick it. Do we need this?
Yeah, plug that into the computer.
Sound? Okay.
And I will press this button. As far as what goes? Yes.
Okay. Sounds good. And we got sound.
Are you doing a sound test?
That's the sound.
Should sound be coming up?
Yeah, I think so.
Are you getting any sound?
It's going through HDMI.
Oh, okay.
Is it?
The sound's going through the HDMI. Can you route it to the cable?
Okay.
Yeah, speaker or headphones, I guess.
Yeah.
Front, right, front, left.
All right. Kick it off.
I'm so pleased to be invited to speak to you. Yes, this presentation format is unusual, we know, but I'm sure it's going to help us understand more about this important topic. Windows 95 was of real cultural significance, personal significance for many. People would often refer to decades around this time, the 70s, the 80s. It became more common to think of the early 1990s, the late 1990s, as periods divided by the introduction of Windows 95. The launch caused fervor globally and was accompanied by millenarian rituals on stages, in stores. Of course, some person was the first to purchase a boxed copy from a store. Here is a photographic representation of that person. Here he is. After buying this special software product, which would become the basis for all computing, people would be excited to get home and install it on their computer hardware. Many users would customize the appearance of Windows 95. Color, typography, these could be easily specified. Yes, even the thickness or thinness of linear interface elements. I'm obviously not just presenting about Windows 95 in general. We're concerned with one specific user. What we have here is the Windows 95 installation of a person named Lily Webster. Let us call this functional drive image serving as her digital footprint the system. The placards and digitized photographs displayed earlier were ones I prepared to provide context. Those were not part of the system. Don't let me confuse you when I'm just trying to clarify. Now that we're done with those, everything else will be from this very source. We who have investigated all know that the system, which includes Lily Webster's desktop, came to us fixed in the configuration we're about to see. To determine what preceded this, we have to extrapolate. Or let's be more generous. We know the initial state of a Windows 95 installation, so consider it a much easier task, a matter of interpolation. An exciting feature of Windows 95 was the internet. Now, Windows 95 in general had the ability to connect to this network interlinked. It is clear that the system as experienced by Lily Webster herself never happened to be connected to any network. Even so, Lily Webster brought certain media artifacts from a network computer at her school, as we will soon see. It's quite likely that Lily Webster began operating her new computer by composing a text, using a dedicated program with a biblical and philosophical name, Word. While other programs were named so as to spur achievement or to encourage users to direct effort and energy, this particular program's focus was on logos, encouraging rhetoric and rational discourse. The program provided a framework for deduction and reasoning by writing, or at this time, what was literally typing, a different use of the fingers. Date stamps show Lily Webster next found this program, somehow intended to mimic the creative usages of pigment applied to a canvas, paper, or some other surface, and began to use it, producing digital images. The purpose, the semantics of these are unclear. However, as people might have said at the time, this one looks like a little man. A system of cells interlinked within cells, interlinked within cells, interlinked. This application was actually intended for financial calculation. It allowed users to quantitatively justify whatever they wanted to do in their businesses by filling in numbers here and there. Lily Webster subverted its purpose. She programmed it in the built-in language, which was exceedingly limited, even for this time. Visual design that was dynamic, indeed computational, something animated, given life. These media artifacts were not produced originally within the system. They are photographs, inscribed by the pencil of light, as people used to say, then scanned in. Lily Webster controlled a camera and had it capture photons reflected from the world, her immediate environment, technologies of transportation and communication, memorial posters, her compatriots, and so on. We don't know who these other individuals are here. They weren't as accomplished. Among the nameless members of Gang, we can discern an image of Lily Webster herself, one of several. The members of Gang are documented in other photographs, which in the system are few. This was just before the era of pervasive photography, enabled by pocket-sized computational metamedia devices. Some images began as photographs. They were corrupted, but not accidentally. Lily Webster used what was called glitching. This was a human engagement with the functioning of the system itself. Investigation has indicated that the figure excised from this photograph through an early use of the glitch is one known only through this damaged media artifact, one that we investigators call the ex-boyfriend. It is clear that Lily Webster used a hex editor, as it was called, to alter code and data at a low, if not fundamental level. We normally need to speculate about how exactly this was done, the authorial purposes behind each modification, the precise sequence of the alterations. Luckily, however, in this case, we have a special source of documentation. As we saw from Lily Webster's work in the Excel system, she engaged with business applications of productivity software. This was unusual for individuals at her life stage. Young people mostly use their computers for gaming and accessing the internet, making more extensive use of counterproductivity software. In this case, Lily Webster used a program called ScreenCam to record and narrate her activities.
So for now, let's just see how removing bytes from a compressed image doesn't just cut out a section like with a text file. It does something else. Don't worry about what to rip out. Just get the hex editor going. Move down a bit, past the header. Here, let's take out a big chunk. Okay, look at the photo. Do you like what you see? Nah, not yet. Even removing a lot of data doesn't do all that much. We'll take out more. The image, uncompressed, in the process of it, it's being generated too, if you look at it the other way around. So making these changes is messing with the computer program, not the code directly, but the parts that matter. Still, you get to see how this expansion program works. More on this later.
And although Lily Webster was extensively involved with computer games, her involvement was more characterized by disassembly, reverse engineering, and the extraction of media elements, not as much by actually playing games. Indeed, Lily Webster's glitching activities extended to interventions in playable digital games themselves. In these examples, we see some of her early work. Initially, files from the system show that she developed simple modifications, unwinnable and unlosable versions of existing digital games. She demonstrated that there's more than one way to eliminate fun. What we find provides evidence for a very wide variety of interests, consistent with what was, for a human, an extremely capacious intellect. At this time, users, in the rare cases that they were not using computers, were encouraged to recycle. For instance, by placing the boxes that enclosed Windows 95 in a special bin to be made into new paper products. The recycle bin was simply a way to delete files after a period of time. It was given this name, we have to guess, to encourage the ethos of recycling. Otherwise, it might just as easily have been called something like delete bucket. We can detect that for a while, Lily Webster was interested in the non-utilitarian aesthetic movements of animal bodies, human and non-human. However, after observing these movements for a while, she had enough. When Lily Webster produced this document in the system using the evocatively named Word, she developed a plan that extended beyond a single year. This text was not ever published. It clearly anticipated discussions of what humans called posthumanism and what they called superintelligence. Clearly, Lily Webster was not mainly concerned with promulgating her ideas through writing. She dedicated herself to realizing them, doing what at the time was called full stack development, software engineering, systems architecture and integration, body modification and augmentation. Her formal and informal education in computing was extensive, but her formal and informal education in what was called the humanities was also important.
Oh, hello, text files. Thanks for watching. And we are about to be joined by the film's director and co-creator, Albert Figurt. Oh, and Henry Jenkins. Hello, Henry.
Hello. All right. Let's see here. I'm going to switch to a nice view. Okay.
Do you want to be from there, or do you want to be?
All right. Here we are. Here at WordHack in the Brooklyn part of New York City. Albert Figurt, aka Alberto Angelini, is coming to us from Italy, and the star of the show, Henry Jenkins, is in Los Angeles right now. And I'm going to ask, I've got some questions for them, but I want to start off and mention, right? So Henry Jenkins is Provost Professor of Communication, Journalism, and Cinematic Arts at the University of Southern California. He is possibly the most prominent media scholar in the U.S., and he co-authored more than a dozen books, including By Any Media Necessary, Spreadable Media, Convergence Culture, Textual Poachers, and What Made Pistachio Nuts, which is his early book on sound comedy and vaudeville. So we're very glad to have Henry voice the part of the investigator. Albert is a multi-instrumentalist, video artisan, new media scholar. He's from Italy, has worked quite a bit with me. Yeah, I think so. So this is fun. This is a project of about 2 years, I think. Is that right, Alberto? Uh-oh, hold on. We're going to Alberto, you're muted, and can you? Yeah, exactly. I'm not allowed to unmute you. That would violate privacy policies and everything.
Can you hear me now?
Okay. Yes, we hear you now. Okay. So yeah, I wanted to ask you some about the extent of the project, and also just from your perspective, because you're a scholar of it, you're a maker of it. Like, what is this desktop narrative thing historically and practically?
All right, so we started to think about that and conceive that by the first time I arrived at MIT. And this is because I was there thanks to a Fulbright exchange. And this desktop narrative, diegetic desktop screencast narrative, screen recording, many names to describe the same stuff, has been on my mind for quite a long time. But of course, with the pandemic, we started to look at that in a different way. And by the time I arrived at MIT, we started to think about the possibility to track down the evolution of this genre or meta format, or let's say elusive language of moving image. And so my idea was to basically study the evolution of this, the genealogy of this dialect within moving images, especially by the time cinema combines with graphical user interface. So we started to speculate together about the past, the present, and the potential future of that. And we realized that there were some sort of 30 years of hiatus, so a void between 95, the year when technically was feasible for the first time to screen record, and so to, let's say, have some hypothesis about storytelling arc entirely told within the computer, and 2015, when the screencast, let's say, format became...
Because he's coming at this from a very curious perspective. He's sort of enacting. I mean, Henry, people are worried about AI replacing us. And so here you are as an actor, taking on the role of a super intelligent entity who, at a time when AI has replaced everyone, where humanity has been eradicated. But you're also a media scholar among these entities. How was it to? I don't know if you're, Stanislavskian in your school of acting, or how was it to engage with that?
I thought it was a fascinating process. And I was doing this as I was in the process of writing a new article, which is an appreciation of the virtuosity of Dawes Butler, who was the voice actor for many of the Hanna-Barbera films. So I was thinking about voice acting while I was trying my hand for the first time at voice acting. And partially, it's not exactly Stanislavski. What I tried to do was gradually convey a certain distrust or defamiliarization of what it is to be human. So words like voice are very strange to this narrator. And then I tried to turn Lily Webster into a single unit. It's not two names the way I'm pronouncing it there. It's intended to be one sound file that is reproduced multiple times. Same with the word system. So in that sense, I think an AI might do a better job than me because it could be absolutely consistent in the way in which it delivered those words. And I can only approximate that degree of consistency as a human being. But I was trying to think about what would be the limitations of this person's ability to convey what it is to be human when they had seemingly no connection with the humans, that humans had evolved away, that he's trying to figure out why all those cat photos or what this thing called gang is as he works through the script.
And so I should also point out, right, as you were mentioning that you didn't have extensive experience with voice acting, but I also don't write short films. So fortunately, we have Alberto to help us because he does have experience as a filmmaker. And I was able to contribute a little bit as a sort of line producer because getting and running the equipment that we needed to make a film of this sort was important. But also we had Karen Nakamura as the voice of Lily Webster. We had Kyle Williams, who actually did program the Game of Life in Excel for Excel 95. And then Stephanie Frampton, I we went over to her house and we went through her high school photos and found ones that would be appropriate. So we took, and this is also, this it was just like, well, why shoot these? Why get some models to come do this? We'll just find somebody who has photos from the period. So let me find out if this, maybe a question or two from the audience. Yeah?
Yeah. Thank you. Looks like we got enough length here. Yeah, truly, the most shocking moment of the film for me, watching you drag, the different files to the recycle bin at several moments throughout the film. You just grab the internet and you drag it up. And at this moment, I'm wondering, you say we're actually recording, screen recording on a system running Windows 95. I'm like, did they edit something? Can you just drag the internet, the built-in internet application? Can you just drag it to the recycle bin? And then it disappears. There's no loading bar that says it's are you sure you want to do it? There's no pop-up. Does that actually happen? Do you drag it to the recycle bin and then it's no questions asked? Or was that edited?
Well, okay. So basically, we decided to go with once again vintage technology with all the limitation of that, but also trying to have fun about those limitations and possibly circle around them. So the idea was, okay, what about a short film entirely realized with screen recording technology from '95? So the infancy of the genre 30 years before, with all the problems. And then just to make things a little more convoluted, what if this jump into an alternative past when it comes to the language and moving images contains an additional time travel twist, so a quantum leap into some faraway post-human future when it comes to the plot. And then how to avoid problems, let's say, or maybe discrepancies and too many layers just by kicking the internet. Well, which is the original idea was to use a combination of a screen cam, the software that is also displayed and let's say experimented with by Lily Webster herself, and See You See Me. There was a way to let's say connect two computers at the same time. But we decided to stick with the computer and then to approach a different angle from an investigator, as we call it by the beginning. So that's why we decided to trash the internet. But also part of the fun is that it was visually interesting to do that.
Yeah, because we had thought initially, if we had infinite resources and lots of time, like we'll create an internet of 1995, a web of 1995, and we'll have all of this, and CUCME had like black and white video conferencing and everything. Well, yeah, we'll do all that. But then it's like, okay, if we want to give some idea of what sort of networked resources were like, let's bring up these text files and let's make that part of this. And maybe she didn't actually have access at home. Her parents wanted to be able to talk on the phone, so they didn't let her dial in or whatever. So, instead, she would bring things on a floppy disk back from school. And so we tried to invent some diegetic reasons why that would be the case. So let me ask a question, particularly I'll give priority if somebody has one for Henry. Yeah, can you come up? Or come halfway?
I don't know if this is technically a question, but while I was watching the film, I was not aware that the investigator was voiced by a human actor. And I think that is like a beautiful, intentional choice on the behalf of the creative team involved in producing this, because there is like technology now that will just do voice to text. So I wanted to create a little space for you all to talk about your intentions and motivation behind that artistic choice.
Harry, you want to say something?
Well, I was kind of text to voice here. They gave me a script. They told me what words to emphasize, and I delivered it. But
yeah, it is a written film, right? So there wasn't like a writer's strike going on or something during the making of the film, and
it's also not what I, as an actual professor, not necessarily have said. It's constrained by the limits of a digital investigator of the future trying to reconstruct something. So in that sense, I had to empty my head. I certainly have certain professorial mannerisms and intonations, which I can't get rid of altogether after 37 years of teaching, but I tried to become the vehicle for the script.
Yeah, Henry, I think it's sort of in between, like David Cronenberg's Videodrome, in terms of like one sort of media professor, and then that moment in Annie Hall when Woody Allen is waiting in line and the guy is talking about Marshall McLuhan. He says, what you're saying is nonsense. I have Marshall McLuhan right here.
Yeah. And then McLuhan, who was suffering from brain tumor at the time, delivers the line, "You're saying my whole fallacy is wrong," which I think was McLuhan's glitch, but it was left in, and it's always mystified me, that moment.
Yeah, I mean, we were debating a lot this idea of how the voice should sound like. So impersonal, let's say robotic, or maybe neutral, maybe passionate. And so in the end, we decided for something in between. Just like, I mean, now we are desperately trying to make AI human, or to make AI sound human. This is instead maybe a super far away AI mocking human. Just like, okay, let's play like they used to do. So with their fingers, with their voices. And so just inserting a little bit of human element just to make the parody sound more, I don't know, funnier or more elaborated or clumsy as they would probably see us in the future. So just like, let's do what they were doing back then, I guess.
All right. Okay, I think we will wrap up with that and go to the break, yeah? All right. Thanks so much, Henry, Alberto.
Bye.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Hey, I'm Todd. I'm the host. Thank you so much for joining us, Albert and Henry. Let's give it up one more time for everyone. Big room full of applause for everyone. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for doing that premiere here at WordHack. We are at, yes, our famous mid-show 13-minute break. Now is a great time to go to the bar and get a drink. We have Jason at the bar. Tip Jason generously. Also, we have Chantal at the door and Rhodey in the booth. Let's give it up for your staff one time. And also the warm, comforting presence of Mark and Stephanie here at Wonderville. Yeah, we'll be back in 13 minutes. Don't go far. We have Helen Shewolfe Tseng and Olivia McKayla Ross in the second half. See you in 13. went home but hated their jackets. That's probably what happened here. All right, I think we have a quorum here, and the second session of WordHack can now commence. Welcome back. Thank you again to Nick and Alberto for debuting that film here. We have two more featured speakers for you. We're going to be starting things off with Helen Shewolfe Tseng, visiting from out of town. Really happy to have them here. Helen is an amazing artist and interdisciplinary designer. They're one of the editors of Taper, a online journal of experimental short computer. Is it just poems, or is it also other little artworks as well? Taper's a really great publication. Encourage you to submit to it. I have, and I've always had a good time. It's really a great pleasure. Helen is someone whose work I've been following from afar for a long time. Really excited to be able to welcome them to New York City. Let's give a warm WordHack welcome to Helen Shewolfe Tseng. WordHack.
Thank you so much, Todd. Can people hear me? I don't think I need sound, but maybe I'll. This usually does have sound, but I think it's the only piece I have that has sound. Oh, great. Thank you. Anyone here? It's okay if not. I just want to invite people back in and take a moment to take a breath. You can close your eyes if you'd like, and just bring attention to your breath. You can also keep your eyes on the screen and try to calibrate your breath to the movement of this deity on the screen. Take a moment to arrive. So, I grew up making things on the early web, just hand coding things for fun. And I took a really long time away. I'm not a very online person, but a few years ago I started making things on the web again when I got really tired of working in software, which I still have to do for my job. But this is a piece I made. I wanted to kind of make something in response to the usual feelings of dissociation I have looking at things on the web or on my phone, and kind of make something that was that would bring me back to my body and awareness of my physical self. And this I made it entirely in code. I tend to like to do things the hardest way possible. Like Todd mentioned, I am currently one of the members of the editorial collective of Taper. Taper is it's a browser-based literary magazine for computational poetry and also I think there's some sort of browser-based art, usually involving language. And all the pieces since, was it issue 2, have a constraint of 2 kilobytes. And Nick, who we heard from earlier, is the publisher of Taper. I'm glad to share this bill with him tonight. In my normal life, I'm an artist and designer. I'm also a wildlife naturalist, and now an occasional code poet. I do kind of as a hobby. And I think I'm going to show a bunch of pieces, Taper pieces and kind of like Taper adjacent pieces tonight, and you'll kind of get an idea of Taper. We'll start with this piece. This is, can everyone see, is it centered? Yeah, okay. This was the first piece I submitted to Taper. It's for issue number 8, themed 8-bit nostalgia. And it's kind of I was kind of thinking about like what is a code poem at the time, and thinking about the number 8 as this auspicious number, and bringing in cultural and ancestral motifs around the number 8. There's the 8 trigrams. Once you start hovering over things, you get the 8 phases of the moon. And I was thinking about the root of the word nostalgia in the theme, which comes from the Greek for homecoming and grief. And so these are kind of cultural motifs, and also kind of mimics the Bagua mirror, which is kind of a protective, or sorry, it's called the function. It's one of the feng shui mirrors. It's a protective talisman for the home. I'm just making a little toy here. I have a lot of like mythological and ecological themes in my work. You'll see that a lot tonight. And if you are following along at home, I forgot to say this, you can go to this website if you want to click along. It's better on a desktop. It's coyote.computer/WordHack. For issue number 9, I'm going to give this a minute. This is a durational piece around the number 9, which in Mandarin it's a homophone for a word that signifies a long period of time, and it's based on the mythical 9-tailed fox, which also appeared in the first piece you saw. It's a mythical creature that appears in a lot of East Asian folklore, and it's said to grow each of its tails over a long period of time, and with each tail, it gains some magical shape-shifting abilities, some powers. Each of the 9 glyphs takes exponentially longer than the previous one to come to full opacity. And if you stay on the screen long enough, you can witness a transformation of the fox to a celestial deity. Following the kind of mythological themes for issue 10, this is a piece I made around the Wheel of Fortune as a play on astrological charts. The idea is you can ask a question and generate a poem of these words and kind of celestial bodies. And I'll read a few. You can kind of use each of these poems to divine meaning with the question you have. So if anyone wants to ask a question in their head. Coexistent. Tension, brighten. Rotten, sweeten, molten, forgotten. Bitten, soften, uneaten. The piece I made for issue number 11 is a participatory poem that invites the reader to send messages to loved ones who have passed on to the spirit realm. It's inspired by wind phones, which are phone installations that kind of invite people to hold one-way conversations with their dead. And as you send a message, it turns into smoke. And are you able to see the bottom of the screen? It adds incense to the bottom. And the sticks of incense will appear to burn down. Kind of accumulating in parallel. And incense, when I was making this piece, I learned that incense is also used as a timekeeping device. It's kind of a clock. So I was also thinking about parallel realms and parallel timelines. And our timelines here in the living realm and the parallel timeline of the spirit realm. You can stay here as long as you like. I became really interested in the participatory rituals and performance pieces of the Fluxus art movement. This is a piece called Fluxus. I'll read a few. Scratch a match with pleasure. Crush a pinch of salt on the way home. Milk a trick. Break a fruit with vengeance. Scatter an apology under the moon. Leap over a desire. Douse a coin with devotion. Bury an apology in the shadows. Leap over a pile of grain. So these are generated poems from word lists that are that reference some canonical dozens. So groups of 12, like the Western and Eastern zodiacs, the Greek pantheon, the 12 days of Christmas. And I also included some occult tools, the ones with the major arcana. So wand, cup, pentacle, and sword. This is published in Taper issue 12, which was themed tools. These kind of invite you to perform them if they are within reason, but you can also just read them as play. Along the lines of Fluxus, I wrote a series of poetic prompts and lyric games for walks. There was a print version of this that I'll show. That was published by Baylor's Library Artist Games. They have prompts on one side and these images on the other, and you can use them to come up with rituals for walks. And I'll read a few here. I made this website to kind of give another way to experience this piece. Survey a route by smell. Keep a log of scents you encounter. Which ones are ephemeral, seasonal, persistent? Map your local topography of scent. Consult the shadows. Watch them flicker, sharpen, and smear, appear and disappear. Attune yourself to their world and learn to dance on the edges between the realms. Ask a friend to take you somewhere they love. Let them talk about it. Ask them good questions. Now do the same for them. Let them do the same for you. Take the same walk in repetition over a stretch of time. Let the route wash over your ruts and grooves. Let it polish you smooth as a stone. I mentioned earlier that I am a practicing wildlife naturalist in San Francisco. My focus is on urban coyotes. I've been studying them for about 5 years. And I had wanted for a long time to make something that kind of simulated the experience I have looking for an animal that camouflages perfectly in the landscape and is able to detect me long before I am able to detect them. And it took me a long time of kind of training my eye to the shifts in the landscape, to sound. So this is a game I made, Coyote Spotting Simulator. You sit with this landscape. You can zoom in for a closer view. Just kind of looking around. Oh, there's one. Yay. And you can also kind of like zoom out and kind of see things are shifting on the page. It's funny doing this live because my senses are even worse. Oh, there's one here at the bottom. There you go. Hey. Sometimes I kind of just stare at this. And I made an earlier version of this piece. So this is published in issue number 13, which was themed superstitions. And I was thinking about like luck and time and ritual. And I made an earlier version of this piece that was published in a booklet called Our Generation, also by Bad Cordo. I made a little mock-up here of the text-based version of, this is kind of the experience of like going for a walk, looking at things. The world kind of opens up as I'm waiting for an animal. That's kind of my main focus. I end up kind of experiencing it all and having appreciation for the rest of it. We'll linger here for a while. I don't know if we'll see one today. That's how it is, you know. Oh, yay. I always feel really lucky when I see one. So. And that was called Field Notes. So Bad Cordo also published another booklet of text-generated, or a computer-generated text this year. And I sent in a follow-up piece, Fielder Notes. This is inspired by Nathan Fielder, the comedian and performance artist and 737 pilot. Yeah. All right. I'm going to show one last piece. I'll just turn this on now. So this is another piece that's kind of inspired by my time out in the field. Taper number 14 was themed sonnets, and the word sonnet shares a root with the word sonata, which is it's a type of musical composition structured in movements. So this is kind of a score for ambient soundscapes that appear on a stretch of land that I spend a lot of time on. And the colors in the background are also meant to simulate changing light in the sky as the sounds come into focus, the land comes alive. And I don't know how much time I have left and how long I have to have this play. Okay, cool. We'll use it. The full duration is John Cage's 433, so you spend the entire time on there, so we'll see about half of it. But as this is playing out, I did want to mention that all of the taper pieces have creative statements in the source code. So if you visit Taper, please enjoy all of the other pieces that have been published. Read their creative statements. And we just wrapped submissions on issue number 15, but there will be more. So look forward for issue number 15, Crossroads, in the fall, and keep an eye out for future open calls. There are probably a couple other pieces on this page that I won't get to, but if you have this URL, which I'll put on the screen right now, you can visit this. On your own time. Can you see it? Yes. Yay. And I'll show you what the source code looks like as well. Yeah, so creative statements happen up here. And then the code down at the bottom, not that much. I've been telling friends that I wonder if coding by hand will go the way of like knitting or embroidery, where I fire up a machine to kind of do a little hobby. As code gets taken over by entities, vibes. It is now nightfall here on the Field Sonata. The sounds and the animals that show up kind of like shift toward more nocturnal creatures and more nocturnal sounds. But yes, that is it for me. Thank you so much for having me, Todd. It's been a pleasure. I'm so glad I can make it. Thanks, Nick and Albert, and, for presenting. And Olivia is next.
Thank you so much, Helen. And yeah, can't recommend enough submitting something to Taper. If you've never created something with a kilobyte constraint, it is a really fun exercise that can kind of have you be just like being like, okay, like what can I do with just what's baked in to HTML and CSS? And I found it a really fun exercise and really loved the experience. And great publication. Our final presenter, Olivia McKayla Ross, really happy to have her here. Olivia is a really amazing poet, programmer, archivist, cyber doula, documentarian, cybersecurity researcher. You may know her as one of the two documentarians of the recent film Seeking Mavis Beacon about the typing icon. Really excited to have Olivia here to share with us. Please give it up for Olivia McKayla Ross.
Hi, everybody. Oh, okay. Okay, that's settled. Thank you, awesome. Okay. So I wonder, right now I have it so that
like it might be easier to see or slash more centered if it's not full screen.
Apologies for our weird cave environment.
No, not at all. I just have like a million things on the screen. Let's see. Just gonna like zoom a little bit. That might be good enough, maybe. Yeah. Okay. So. Oh, now I'm kind of blocking it with my body. Okay, can you guys hear me? Oh, yep, okay. That's how you talk into the microphone. Yeah, my name is Olivia Ross, and I'm really excited this is like my first time presenting at WordHack. Oh, what's happening? Okay. Should I point this at something else? This is my first time ever coming to WordHack at Wonderville. I've just been logging into Twitch. But WordHack has always been something really exciting to me when I was a teenager, because I used to come when it was at Baby Castles, and it was my introduction to different ways of computation, and I feel really lucky to have gotten to do that in like an in-person community. That was crazy. This presentation is going to be about a class that I taught at SFPC earlier this spring called Advanced Secret Keeping, and some of the ideas and work that's gone into the ideas inside the class since. So Advanced Secret Keeping, I like to say, is an ongoing poetic and concrete inquiry into the cybernetics of secrecy, power, and place. This class was taught by me and my friend and Marshall sister, Seldom Chen, and it was a combination of the research we were both doing at the time, mine into documents, geographies, electronics, and yeah, this idea about the cybernetics of secrecy and power. And they were doing research thinking about things like telecommunications, orality, performance, improvisation, and memory. When I think about electronics as like a research interest, I'm thinking a lot about, it's actually escaping me the author who described electronics this way, but I was really touched by a definition I once heard that talked about electronics as, that's way better. I talked about electronics as a politics of electricity. And so like thinking about early 19th century electricity, how it sort of became a site for combining all of these historical currents of natural philosophy and engineering and parapsychology and communications into the technologies that we now think of as like media, thinking about how humans have like channeled this raw energy into conceptual and technical ideas. I like to think a lot about how those index a history of power, both like energetic power, but also political power. So the class that we taught at SFPC explored secrets across scales and scopes: personal, political, generational, cultural, local and global, abyssal and celestial, romantic, familial, legal, etc. We talked about telling secrets, keeping secrets, tracking secrets, destroying all evidence of secrets, broadcasting secrets, pretending you have secrets, pretending you don't have any secrets, lying, telling the truth, being nosy, being sneaky, being obvious. And we got to kind of think about the idea of what does it mean to have a secret? Because it's a muscle that these days, contemporarily, we don't get to practice super often, of like maintaining interior informational territory. We're so used to kind of, even if you have a group chat, like telling people instantly what happened in your day, or posting something on social media, or like kind of having this like revolving door of like where your thoughts go, and like, yeah, this like digital expression. And so we talked a lot about like Do you remember when you used to have different usernames for different websites? Do you remember having a diary or a lockbox? How does it feel to have house keys? How does it feel to have passwords? And where do you feel it in your body when you try to remember them? What things hold you back from being a more private person online, and what's encouraging you to do that? Where are your private spaces, and how do they make you feel? Are there people who know you by names different from your birth name? Are there people who know you by multiple different names? And thinking about redefining different types of vocabulary. So like ideas like permission, ideas like territory and freedom and property, and reorienting our relationship to that kind of language. There was a lot of encouragement to engage with secrecy poetically and somatically, in addition to concretely and technically and in analog ways as well as digital. And this is one of my favorite poems that we explored in the class, called The Pleasures of the Door. It's by Francis Ponge, and it says, "Kings do not touch doors. They'll never know this delight, sweetly or roughly pushing before oneself the large familiar panels, to swing it away and then watch it fall back, to hold in your arms a door. The delight of clasping the porcelain knob of the stomach high up in the obstacle. This body-to-body instant lifts the lid of resistance. The room's eye opens and the body slips inside, adjusting to its new apartment. In your friendly hand, you retain it still, before firmly pushing it shut and enclosing yourself, while the click of the sturdy, well-oiled spring confirms." And so, yeah, this is the kind of stuff that we were like thinking and chewing on throughout the class, in addition to technical tutorials about encryption and how to drive around in a car and look at the names of people's Wi-Fi. And I think a lot about secrecy as a Black New Yorker. One of William Gibson, the author of Necromancer's famous anti-heroes, who's not a necromancer, but is in a few of the other books, Hubertus Biggin, says secrets are the root of cool. And I think a lot about how, yeah, as a Black New Yorker, I've kind of lived my life inside the specter of cool. And yeah, the ideas of like the Harlem Renaissance and hip hop and jazz and a lot of like cultural movement that happened in New York. And how a lot of what's inside of those cultural moments is this like mode and creative expression of secrecy. And thus, I came to political consciousness also amid what I've been calling this like madness of spies. And so when I think about my creative and poetic work, I'm really excited about glamorizing nosiness, gossip, conspiracy, and encryption, and thinking a bit more seriously about, yeah, what is the poet's role inside like global information warfare? And this is a poster that I found online that someone else found at the Internet Archive that says, "We have had enough. CIA, ATF, FBI, and all other secret intelligence agencies, including those without names. Repent. Secret pigs, repent. Stop your crimes against the people, secret buggings, secret photography, heroin dealings, illegal searches, telephone wiretaps, intelligence files, COINTELPRO, illegal arrests, assaults, and murders." I found that and I was like, it's fun to find things in the archive that make you feel like less of a crazy person, because I feel like I see posts like this like on Reddit constantly, and this was like on someone's wall in the 70s, and I'm like, yeah. So my father's family, both my parents are from the Caribbean. My father's family is from Grenada. And I was thinking a lot about, this is connected to something. I recently discovered the work of the French anarchist group Clodo when I was researching the history of socialist and communist history in Grenada. The Grenadian Revolution in the late 70s and 80s was a big part of, yeah, this like wave of leftward momentum throughout the Caribbean, and so thus it was targeted and destroyed by Reagan's invasion in 1983. The invasion of Grenada was the end of the New Jewel movement, which was about 4 years of like a socialist experiment in Grenada. Each one teach one programs, sharp increases in the literacy rate in Grenada, and just, yeah, a countrywide experiment in what happens if we divert resources and capital against accumulation and towards solidarity. And so, yeah, the invasion of Grenada was reviled by people of conscience globally, including a group of French anarchists who took their rage to a Sperry headquarters in Toulouse through acts of vandalism and arson. Clodo was active for about 3 years in the early 80s, like the 80 to 83, and took attacks against computer companies and data processing centers in France, mostly around Toulouse. And they criticized computers as tools of domination and specifically destroyed files used by the computers of their time. They published manifestos often, so that you can find online these like Clodo communiques where they talk more about their political beliefs. But their criticism of digital state surveillance specifically differentiated them from like Luddites who attacked new machines to protect their jobs and like livelihoods. And they make clear that they don't feel like the loom breakers of the 19th century, and they also kind of disidentify themselves with ideas about primitivism. And so, yeah, I thought that they were really interesting, and I was thinking a lot specifically about their relationship to secrecy and their relationship to just how seriously they took the idea of informational warfare and what it means to arm oneself against it, and what potentially might be, what it is that we have to do, and what they saw as what they had to do, which I guess was to be labeled as terrorists by the National Consortium for the Study of Terrorism and Responses to Terrorism. But yeah, a lot of that, we watched a documentary about them, a desktop documentary, in the last class of advanced secret keeping. And we also talked about, in general, what it means to keep a secret, both from like your parents and your school, but also potentially like the state. And what tools do people have against us? Like there's these ideas of like different levels of force, different levels of surveillance, but like what are these for? And so we kind of divided them into 3 sharper categories of, yeah, deterrence, incrimination, and arrest as like 3 flavors. And these, a great resource to see more about these would be notrace.how. And they have this gigantic threat library of like it's really big, of like, yeah, just different surveillance techniques. And we came up with responses to these. So against deterrence is resilience and redundancy. Against incrimination is opacity and secrecy. And against arrest is evasiveness and agility. But of course, if you are actually physically picked up and put someplace else, you run out of options pretty quickly. Recently, I've been resistant to calling my work practice archiving. Institutionally, the more I do research on archival practices, I see how the institutions of archives tend to serve like the colonized surveillance and discipline society of our modern world, even though the day-to-day job of an archivist has always sounded like really romantic and interesting to me. When I zoomed out, I noticed that archival institutions are the regulating body that decides what heritage has access to care and who has access to that heritage. I have a lot of friends who are archivists, and I remember like feeling jealous when they would like post to their Instagram story like pictures of like them in the stacks with this like really cool artifact or letter or thing that they had scanned. And then I realized like, yeah, how many layers of institutional, I feel like gatekeeping is a really vague word, but how many different obstacles there are institutionally to decide like who gets to engage in a real way with that history, even if it means like, yeah, the access that you have is due to you like emailing and setting up time and then putting on gloves and then going to, and so I think these days my work and research sits more inside concerns about the distribution, maintenance, and destruction of information. So I'm really curious about the maps that we make inside of our heads, our logistics, our electronics, our politics of electricity, our slang, our passwords, and how we make sense of what feels authentic, and what our strategies of authentication are. This has led to some side quests, which includes visiting Zen monasteries in upstate New York, walking around, studies in hacking, open source intelligence and lockpicking, sending lots of emails, reading cryptography papers, talking to complete strangers on the radio, learning to swim so I can learn how to sail a boat, and printing and sharing sketchy zines. One of the side quests became a main quest. Seeking Mavis Beacon is a Black cyber-feminist documentary that thinks about the legacy of Mavis Beacon teaches typing, but specifically through this lens of privacy, agency, and autonomy. A really good friend of mine, Jasmine Jones, and I made a film that basically shows our progress of investigating the model for Mavis Beacon, who we feel, is one of the first artificial intelligences to be introduced, to personified to American consumers. So she's like the foremother of Siri, Alexa, and Cortana, and was a part of this momentum in, I think, 1987, of people like understanding what it would mean to have a personal computer and to have computers be a part of your home landscape. And help form the imagination of like what modernity like looked like and felt like. If you want to watch it, it's going to be streaming on Hulu for a few more years, so you can watch it tonight. And if you don't have Hulu, I recently learned that you can pirate the movie. I'm thrilled to hear that. So you can just go where movies get pirated and find that. And another side quest of mine has been riddle-based surrealist fiction. I'm really inspired by the like mythopoetic legacy of the Caribbean, which has a lot of surrealist writers. And right now, I've been idly kind of writing this series about life in an archipelago where time and place are frequently reorganized. And if you are my neighbor, you've heard this because I've been broadcasting it to the immediate blocks that surround my house. No one's responded, so I mean, if you're my neighbor, try it. And if you're walking around Brooklyn, maybe think to yourself, I wonder if Olivia lives nearby and is actively reading this story. But WordHack is going to be the first time that an excerpt from the text is being transmitted farther than a mile radius away from my body. Lucky you guys. But it's now we're telling secrets in different ways. This story is called Yesterday is Cancelled, and this is part of the chapter called Peter and the Shy Wizard. In her tower in Thom, Peter accepts audiences. Some come for portents. Wait, how much time do I have, by the way? Oh, that's totally enough time. Some come for portents, a forecast of an upcoming event in their lives. Peter has no way of knowing the answer to these questions, but seekers still leave with a sense of conviction. They typically just want to talk themselves into certainty, so Peter creates opportunities for her clients to build the argument, and they're mostly convinced on their own. Some come to ask about their dreams, a topic she finds tiresome and won't indulge. Most of Peter's time is spent drafting the weekly letter. There is always an important distinction to clarify, example, between wetness and dampness. She is precise, never rushing or giving short measure. This week's distinction is about flocks, groups, congregations, etc., and whether the movement of flocks toward or away from a place indicates a forebearing, a backbearing, a forepulling, or a backpulling. Citing precedent is critical, which is why the past week's letter is read before her new letter, and each new letter is an expansion or contradiction of a previous letter. Peter is expanding her interpretive authority. Thom is the ideal place to do so. No one can remember where it came from. Perhaps there had once been a stable landmass nearby, but the memories of fisher folk who dwell on the shore are fickle, their histories slippy. The names of the days shift aimlessly. Peter remembers the day she arrived as noon's end, but now it is rainy eve, and soon they may consider days a needless indulgence and return to nights again. The sun makes little difference when the whole world is so low lit. A true morning never fully asserts itself, and the daylight is diffuse and overcast, a thin mist obscuring a pastel sky. It's the perfect place for her discerning, discriminating letters. The weekly letter is important for a number of reasons. One is the definition of a week. No one wants to go so long without the distinction between days. It's unsettling. People need a weekly. If she hadn't written her letter, another would have. Peter simply got there first. She waited until an opening appeared, until an issue came into focus and needed her response. But there are other advantages. No one questions a precedent established last week, whatever it means by then. Today, Peter receives a visit from a wizard in her audience chamber at the apex of her tower's spiraling steps. It's a fierce knock. Bam, bam. She almost doesn't answer. No one who is powerful ever knocks like that. Indeed, inside the wizard's long traveling coat, Peter finds a shyness. This wizard is shy like a deer. She flinches under scrutiny, and her small hands seem ill-suited to the making of fists. She carries a staff to compensate, a long spear of braided red wood. Otmar, she introduces herself first, perhaps so there will be something to call her. Peter greets her back formally, Peter of Thom, and asks why she has come. Otmar points west. Peter studies the directional hand, following its trajectory. Nothing comes to her but the shape of Otmar's finger, slight and girlish. Yesterday has been cancelled, the shy wizard says. I come to warn you. What does cancelled mean? Peter asks, because that's not very clear at all. Otmar looks around the room as if there might be an example somewhere. The room is empty but for that desk with Peter's papers and the lamp overhead that allows her to write. Yesterday has no part to play, Otmar says. She walks Peter through her syllogism, connecting past, present, and future through a string of statements. 1. As of this morning, yesterday has been cancelled. What was is not. Yesterday no longer has an influence, and consequence is difficult to imply. 2. Yesterday has been cancelled, but today is still today, and will continue as a present. 3. Tomorrow continues, and, along with the continued today, is still a future wherein the effect of yesterday is null. And 4. Yesterday, cancelled, no longer is a part of the web of causation, and nothing it did influences the world. The present is unpulled or pushed forward by the influence of its antecedent. This is horrific and cannot be accepted. Peter stares at Otmar as if the shy wizard could lift the cancellation with her body, knowing very well Otmar's fist could manage no such thing. I've no clue what to do about it, the wizard says, reasonably ducking the responsibility. We could either start yesterday all over again, or go to war, or go to work. Is there? Did 3 minutes come by? I'm at time? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And for now, we are within a mile of your body, but you internet viewers are the first ones further than a mile away from Olivia to hear that text. Let's give it up for all your featured presenters this evening. Thank you so much for coming out. It's been a really great WordHack, really great presentations we saw tonight. We're here the third Thursday of every month, so we'll be here the third Thursday of next month, because that's a month. I think it's September 16th, and we're going to have Kyle Booten and Matt Romine here, and one more presenter TBD. It's a lot of fun here. I hope you had a good time. You can sign up for our email list on the website event. And yeah, I really love it here. It's, Yeah, it's really good to be here with the people of this room and spend a day every month with a community that means so much to me. And that's why I am excited to announce to you that me and my wonderful partner Cecilia got engaged this week. And I am ready to accept your congratulations. So we'll be hanging out at the bar in the backyard. But yeah, I'm excited. And thanks for sharing this with me. I'll see you later.